Good evening. This is Brother Lyles coming again, and this is Minding My Business. In my first video that I made, it was a thought that I threw out there that I want to drill down on in this video, talking about the sports only model. If you can remember my last video talking about the quarter zip movement, I was talking about the fashion that came along later that kind of pushed the preppy Miami Vice style movement for young black men and women, kind of pushed it out the door, and that was the hip hop, gangster, and sports only model fashion movement where you wearing the Jordans, the over $100 pair of Jordans, jogging suits, all these different things, different brands of tennis shoes, Nikes, Filas, Reeboks, and it kind of you know pressed that urban style in there, and then of course the gangster hip hop movement with the kind of prison fashion with the sagging, all these different things that came along and to me was detrimental to us as black people. I want to key in on the sports only model, not in the sense of the clothing, but the promotion of sports amongst black people. We have always been an athletic people, whether when we was back during slavery and the master would have the two biggest, he would call them bucks, the two biggest black men on the plantation, maybe boxing, or maybe the two best uh, black men on the plantation that could fight chickens. He would have them fight each other's chickens. And so we always have been somewhat in that sports only model, some kind of way, even with Jack Johnson and all these things as a way, or even horse racing. The original jockeys were black men. Yeah, though they were very wealthy. They not only uh, raced the horses, but they also took care of them. They groomed them. They did all these things. Kentucky Derby, all of that. It's all been whitewashed. That was all us. So again, sports model has always been there to a certain extent, and even when they start letting us uh, play in college sports on their teams and also in professional um, leagues that formed later. But I want to concentrate on the gambling portion of the sports only model and how gambling promotion has become to me a straight up poison to our community. Sports betting, online gambling, and lotteries, in my opinion, are draining black wealth at an alarming rate. We're talking about lotteries now routinely pulling in over $1 billion. I mean, every couple of months you see. I think the last lottery, one of them got up to close to $2 billion, and one woman won it. By the way, here in the state of North Carolina, in Charlotte, I think it was at a gas station. I don't think she's came to claim it yet, but if I was her, and I went to Raleigh, which is where you have to go and you have to present your ticket, I would definitely have some waiting to drive me to the nearest airport to fly out of this state to some undisclosed area, because it's gonna be people hitting her up once. Because in this state, you do have to show your face unless you are a victim of crime or some other things. But I think for the most part, you have to show your face here in this state. But I think a, a disproportionate amount of all these things that I'm talking about, lotteries, online gambling, whatever, a disproportionate amount of the money that's coming is coming from the pockets of black people. And it's not accidental. It's not, again, that sports betting is new. It's not. But I'm saying it was something about when cable TV came along, Michael Jordan came along, Allen Iverson came along. You kind of had a marriage of hip hop gangster style with the professional sport leagues, because you had the rise of the hip hop money, but you also had the rise of the sports money, and they kind of went hand in hand. They kind of, especially like fashions, because remember, Allen Iverson, he's the one that kind of popularized black people getting tattoos like that. Black people was not getting tattoos like that. They was not. But it all kind of came in at one time. And gambling was part of that too. It wasn't accidental. Gambling is a wealth extraction system. Again, let me be clear. Gambling isn't new. People have always wagered. But what is different now is this: it's everywhere. It's nonstop. And it's aggressively marketed to us. FanDuel, DraftKings. I can remember back in the day when they had the when they was doing the I think it was the 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 rat, I forgot what they called it, when it was during the NCAA, the brackets. Yeah, the brackets, when they was doing that. And there would be unofficial betting pools in different places, even like where I used to work at, and they would like kind of cap it at like supposedly some of them cap it at $1,000. And like I said, usually, I'm just being honest, usually people that I seen that was doing the brackets and all that was our people. When the lottery came down south here, and they started getting these lottery pools where they would tell people, hey, let's all put our money together and buy 100 or 200 lottery tickets, right? And the thing, who's some of the major people that were part of these lottery pools? It was our people. It was our people. The regulations that once slowed it down are gone. That cat is completely out of the bag, and black people have a lot to lose between sports betting apps, fantasy leagues, and casino promotions. Huge chunks of black income are being siphoned off, even from wealthy athletes who end up entangled in criminal organizations tied to gambling. Again, I will say again, this is not new. They've had gambling scandals with black people going way, way back. I'm talking about 40s, 50s, all of that. I'm telling you, it's been there. But they tried to put somewhat of regulations on it, right? To just kind of keep it. It was still going on, as they say, under the table, right? But once a lot of our black men and women that, through hip hop, during the hip hop era, or during I said, the sports only model era, with us grooming our young black men and women to go into the sports field, when a lot of these people got these pretty decent contracts. What was going on if at first behind the shadows, a lot of them started getting into gambling because of, at the time, injuries and so many points that you win or lose the games. Some of them were, as they said, throwing games and different things like that. But now, instead of couple thousand, you talking about, once Michael Jordan and all these others start coming out and these players start getting these multi-million-dollar contracts in football, basketball, baseball, man, you talking about millions and millions of dollars that were under the table. I can't even remember. It was a Super Bowl. I think it was the Atlanta Falcons Super Bowl, when they went to the Super Bowl and they had that thing where the power went out for 32 minutes or something like that. I think it was the Falcons and the Ravens. I can't, somebody correct me, but they said that it was some NBA player, allegedly. I heard it was allegedly, it was either Michael Jordan, I can't remember. They said that they had they had put a lot of money on whatever team it was that lost, right? But then they said, yeah, they lost a lot of money. I think it was like $1 million bet or something like that, allegedly. And that goes into something that I've had long talks with some of my friends about Michael Jordan and that sports era, that basically he kind of, it started definitely Magic Johnson and Larry Bird, definitely, and Isaiah Thomas and all them, they definitely energized the NBA. But Michael Jordan, when he came along, when his game started elevating, he really took it to another level. He really took it to another level with the amount of money and all these things that was being generated. And so now you had these players that could, under the table, do different things, which, there's been articles and stuff written about why Michael Jordan stepped away from basketball. And I don't want to make this video too long, so I'm not going to go into it, but I'm just telling you, once these contracts, these players in football and basketball and all that start raising up the gambling, it was underneath, it was really, it was really surging. It was surging. And once the internet came out, they had on the dark web where you probably could do things, but I think they seen their plan, like, man, now we want to open this gambling that has been an underground thing. Now we want to offer it to everybody, and it was going to be our people that they were going to be focusing on, and not just the wealthy in that were playing, because a lot of these players were going broke gambling, right? You remember Charles Barkley, all the problems that he had, but they wanted to offer it up to the ordinary person on the street, primarily our people. And I'll tell you why this is not a good thing. Money comes in fast, but it leaves even faster. I want to say something personal here. I was fortunate. I never had the gambling bug. I remember when we was growing up, and my family, they used to do little things on the weekend to make money in the 70s, trying to make money. They went away. So I seen a lot of stuff when I was growing up in my household. I seen a lot of stuff. I don't want to go into detail. It was just little stuff on a weekend or whatever, but I've seen, as a child, people fighting. I seen people losing their paycheck. I seen people trying to cut people. I seen guns drawn. I heard cussing and all these things. I've seen the ills of gambling. And I can remember, it might be a couple of times that I was growing up that I would play pity pat for a few pennies or something like that, but I never got the gambling bug. And even later on, like when I was in the military and people we wanting to, play cards or whatever, play spades. I said, I'll play, but no money. I said no money because I even seen with that how people would get, in certain ways. But that was me. But unfortunately, I can't say that for everybody. And I've seen what the gambling bug to some part people that were in my family, what it did to them, how they fell into all kinds of trouble. And let me be honest, it didn't end well for a lot of them. Gambling doesn't just take money. It takes away stability. It takes away relationships. It takes away time. And most importantly, it takes away hope. And what I hate is I hear this all the time. From the time that I was a little child to now, that black people always say this: I'm just having a little fun. You got to stop lying to yourself. And I'm tired of hearing it. There's nothing fun about wagering away your future. I'm tired of gambling on the internet, on the riverboat cruises, on the ocean cruises, on the dock casino boats, on the Indian reservation casinos, in Reno and Las Vegas casinos, and Atlantic City casinos, and I heard that they even got casinos now in Detroit City. I think docked out there on the Detroit River, or they do these little. I can remember we was going to a family thing for my wife family, and they was going out on these where they said, look, 1 hour ocean cruises where you go an hour out, right? And I'm thinking, oh, we just gonna be sailing around, this little, hour off the coast or whatever. Man, that ship went probably really even less than an hour, and just stopped. And of course, gambling came. I'm like, man, this is what it's about. You can't tell me that that's okay. That everybody on the ship wanna see all this stuff going on, but the major portion of, I'm just being honest, that I know that our people that want to go on these cruises are going for the gambling. And yes, Jay-Z wants to build a casino in Times Square, in I think either Times Square or Brooklyn, one of those places. And guess who will be again packing it out? Our people. Just like others. The black-owned casino argument. I want to get to that on that thing with Jay-Z, because now I think that they are supposedly denying him the license to do it. So of course you getting all these black people says racism. They don't want black people to have nothing or whatever. I'm thinking, okay, black-owned casino. So what the argument will be, which I'm tired of hearing, if you're gonna gamble at the white man's casino, why not give the money to a black-owned casino? That's hogwash. That's the same language we use as black people when we talked about buying drugs. When black people said, well, you're buying the drug from the white man and he keeping that money. Won't you let us sell the drugs to you and we keep the money? Are you kidding me? How has that worked out for us? How did us selling crack and all these things to each other, did that help the black communities that quote unquote kept the black money that black people that sold to other black people drugs that tore apart their families? How did that work out for us? It's the same thing with the black owned casino that you are pushing for Jay-Z and I think Nas supposedly to get in Times Square. It's our people that's gonna be packing it out. It's our people that's gonna be spending in it. And I said, but it's my money. I can do what I want to. But this is what pushes our people on the welfare rolls. This is what pushes our people into hood housing, this generational thing, because it doesn't stop with you. It's going to get passed down because it's a spirit of greediness that will never be satisfied. That hasn't helped us. Gambling at anybody's casino, black owned or not, will not build black wealth. A predator doesn't stop being a predator just because it looks like you. What is the real issue? Let me say this plainly, and this needs to be said. We have a serious sickness to gaining and keeping black wealth. I want to say that again. We, as black people, have a serious sickness to gaining and keeping black wealth. Gambling feeds that sickness. The sports only thinking feeds that sickness, because we do have these great athletic abilities. We do have artistry on the basketball court and all these things, and those things are great to a certain extent. But I remember it was this NFL player, and I can't remember his name just because of what he did. He probably did not become famous, but he was, I think he was, I don't know if he was a tackle, I don't know what it was, but he wanted to be a doctor. So he graduated from school, but he was also a pretty good football player. So what he did, he said, okay, I'm going to go in the NFL. I'm going to do a few years to get my money up in order for me to, exit stage left and go on to medical school to get, to go get my doctor, start training to be a doctor. But what ended up happening, I think he did just a few years, and then Rhodes, the college, it's a place out of England, and it's called a Rhodes Scholarship, where they look at your academic, because his academics were excellent. I'm talking about excellent. He was an academic All-American, and I think he was also like a third team, maybe All-American. So he had those two things going. But they offered him a Rhodes Scholarship, but the only problem was he was going to have to get out of the NFL. You know how quickly he dropped that? I don't think he was getting paid that much. He was getting paid enough. And he might have, if he would have stayed in the league, got better. But he said, nah, I'm not going to abuse my body anymore. I can go be a doctor and learn how to not just help these guys here in the NFL, because he was going to go study to be a neurosurgeon. He took the Rhodes Scholarship. He left the NFL, never looked back, and became one of the world's one of the outstanding neurosurgeons in the world. But if he would have bought into the sports only model. Now, of course, for all you FBA heads out there, he wasn't a FBA. His family had came from the islands or something, but I think he was born and raised here in this country. So he was like a second generation, right? So you might say, well, that's why he didn't do the sports model. Well, I wanted to let you know that it's been a whole lot more people that did not have what you would consider to be FBA only roots, that this is not a thing, whether it's from the islands or whether it's from America. This is just a black thing, period, because they have problems. They gambling and different things just like us, but just different sports. So no, the issue is black wealth, whether it's FBA, tether, whatever you call it. We have a problem because of that sports only thinking. It's a sickness. Quick money fantasies feed, again, this sickness. While other groups invest, compound, and protect cattle, we're encouraged to risk it, chase it, and lose it. My closing thought: we got to do better. At least some of us, I pray, because the entertainment that extracts wealth, culture that normalizes loss, and habits that reward chance over discipline are not accidental. They are systems. And if we don't confront them honestly, we'll keep repeating the same cycle, just with better apps and brighter lights. I really mean that, what I'm saying about we got to do better, because we're not gonna build no black wealth off of gambling. We're not gonna do it. Um, I always marvel that people fall for these advertisements where they'll get these people to come out and uh, you know, pump up the benefits of, playing the slot machine or playing the internet slot machines, and they'll say, "Oh, I won $50,000 in 1 month." Going back and forth, but they won't tell you, okay, how much did that $50,000 that you had increase from the 1 year to the next? It's now that $50,000 that you had, is it now multiplied to 100,000 or 200,000? No, because you're gonna quote unquote invest that $50,000 right back into the slot machines, because that's how gambling works. That's how it works, and our people haven't figured that out. Indeed, we ain't the only people that have problems with gambling, but I'm talking to us because for some reason we have that unwavering faith that it is. And what they say about insanity, trying to do a thing the same way and not getting results, but continue to do it because you think you're going to get different results. You're going to get the same results. Look at how many NBA, NFL, Major League Baseball players out there that are broke. Blacks. Now, it's whites too. I can't say that they don't, but I'm talking about us. Disproportionate amount. This last year, you've seen some of the reports about Chauncey Billups and all these different things. This is the tip of the iceberg. But now that these gambling corporations, they are corporations. They are the major advertisers on all the sports networks. It's over. They'll never be able to reel it back in. And even if somehow they quote unquote was able to reel it back in and it went back underground, it's the genie is really out of the bottle now, if you want to say that. So again, that's just something that was on my mind. I hope this is something that helped you. Some people might say, well, betting on the stock market is like gambling, betting on Bitcoin and all these things. Okay, well, that can be a fair assessment. But I would have to believe that, yeah, gambling will get better returns if you hit the big one, but it's not got some of the control. Because I understand stock market, Bitcoin. I don't deal with Bitcoin for myself. I don't deal with that. It might come a time where once we go to the electronic system, you won't have no choice. But until that day happens, I'm not messing with it. But I'm saying, dealing with stocks, you can do it with high yield savings account or money market. You can't go wrong doing that. That's a bank institution. I know banks can be questionable. I know situations with world economies can change different things, but there is other ways besides gambling that you can do. Gamble on buying you some franchises and starting a business. Gamble on that, right? I would say that to a lot of these NBA players. Some of them do that and they still gamble on the side. So I can't say, some of them might do both, but I'm just going to say, please, 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 black people, let's stop lying to ourselves about this gambling. It is a sickness, and we got to stop being allergic to building black wealth. With that, I want to say thank you for tuning in to Minding My Business. Have a good night.